Indeed. Okay, let's delve into some of the other companies out this week. Standard Bank, I'm trying to find its share price just to see how it fared.
I think they're up slightly
Actually, yeah,
today.
up slightly today. What did you make of the results earlier
I must
this
say,
week?
compared to the ABSA and the Nedbank, the Standard Bank results were a little bit disappointing. There were some positive aspects there, but I expected the dividend to go up and it didn't. So the results to me were a bit disappointing, and maybe that's already in the share price
Africa,
here.
does that, make you confident about prospects for
Yeah.
Standard Bank?
No, look, I mean, the prospects looking good out there. Obviously, they decided to put everything through the income statement this time around so that next time they report the base is much lower that they're working off. But I must admit, I was a bit disappointed with that.
So Standard Bank up 1.1% today.
Yeah.
Impala Platinum also out with a trading update says that headline earnings per share could increase by about 42%.
Thank goodness for that, because the share price is expecting it, because these are still very high PE shares. Now, maybe it's time to go and buy these platinum shares now. I've been negative on them for as long as what I can remember, and they have been the worst performing shares this year so far. I mean, I think they're down about 30% this year, and the market's down after today probably about 5–6%. So they have been pounded. Maybe it's time to go and buy, because the earnings are coming through. The problem is the share price is still maybe a bit too expensive.
Kumba is down almost 2% today. One of the losers in today's session. We've seen quite a strong run on these stocks.
They pay dividend
when
Monday.
We had good days.
They get this big divvy on Monday. So I think if you guys were buying to get the divvy, because I mean it's is it 8–9%?
So why is it down?
It's huge.
It's actually up.
Now, the guys
down
probably ran it up a little bit too much just to get that dividend. Because if you this is in theory how it works. If you're a big tax-paying person, you can buy the share, earn a dividend. You don't pay tax on the dividend, and then you take a loss on the share and you write the loss off against other profits. So it's a little bit of tax arbitrage with the very big dividend payers.
All right, joining us now, of course, on the desk is Ebrahim Patel, commodity specialist at RMB, to talk gold. So the gold price hits an all-time high again this week, $1,813 an ounce. And we know that Krugerrands have been selling like hotcakes in South Africa. Is that right? Even at these levels?
That's right. FNB actually gave a press release yesterday saying that they've sold 5,000 ounces since they released their online trading of Krugerrands. And we've seen it in other countries as well. So definitely, as people get more and more worried about the global situation, they want to get into a global currency. Gold is seen as the ultimate safe haven. So definitely, people are buying coins, they're going into it, and there's healthy demand for Krugerrands.
Okay, so do you think that it's wise that you buy at these levels?
I think you should buy.
But you've got to look at it in rand terms, ultimately, I would say.
For a while, with the strong rand, you were sort of staying on a level keel with gold. The gold price ran up in dollars, but it was mitigated by the strong rand. Now that we're seeing some weakening of the rand as well, it actually makes sense to get into Krugerrands. Also, gold as a store of value is a long-term play, so I don't think the immediate price levels are of too much concern. What's important is where you store your wealth, the manner in which you store it, and gold's an excellent asset for storing your wealth.
Okay, would you agree with that, Wayne? How many Krugerrands do you have hidden in your
No, I've got no Krugerrands. It's a difficult debate, this, because unfortunately it's an emotive debate. Somehow gold and house prices are emotive investment things. You can talk about lots of other things that people don't get emotional about it, but those two aspects people do get emotional about. The gold price has soared in dollars, but the dollar has been weak against the rand. So you haven't really done too well in rand terms. You have in literally the last 2 weeks done very, very well in rand terms. But maybe that's a bit of panic in the market. We do own some gold. I mean, we have got gold in our portfolios. We've got physical gold, and we've got a couple of gold shares in our portfolios. But I'm always naturally wary to buy things at absolute lifetime record highs after they have soared. Normally they fall back. So today, I don't think I'd buy any.
Okay, so Ebrahim, looking at the overall story for gold and the underlying factors, we know that the debt overhang, the credit ratings agencies, and the fact that they're starting to cut AAA-rated countries like the US, is that going to add more support to the gold price? Do you think that once the nerves are perhaps, tempered down rather, do you think that that's going to change the scenario for gold? How much more upside is there?
I think there's still quite a bit of upside. If you look at the factors that's driven gold over the past year or so, you could argue that there are structural factors that won't necessarily be sorted out in the short term. So I think there's still tremendous upside for gold. I think it still has some way to run. Obviously, it depends on how events around the world pan out, but based on what we can see and based on the fact that some of these problems are deep-seated problems with no easy solution, and also based on the fact that we haven't defined the full scope of the problems, where the fallout's going to be, which countries are yet to be affected, I think there's still a lot of scope for gold to run further.
So you think more Krugerrands will be sold in the country? Do you think that it is a good investment right now for South Africans that do want to actually have exposure to that gold price?
I think so, definitely. We've seen record volumes on our RMB Krugerrand product, and I think we're going to see more coming through as the days go by. I think people also are more aware of the news, they're more aware of how global events impact them, and I think as this financial awareness grows, people are going to be more selective about where they put their money. And I think gold is definitely high on people's agenda.
Okay, let's take a look at the overall commodity space right now. We've also seen oil battling to find some form of direction, Brent crude in particular, especially today after the consumer sentiment numbers out of the US, and then you had retail sales numbers looking quite strong. The other commodities within the industrial space, so looking at copper as well, what kind of outlook and base case scenario are you putting forward?
Okay, so if you look at oil, I think oil's been a victim of mixed signals. So you had better than expected US jobless numbers, you had US retail sales going up, but at the same time, you have fears of a US economic slowdown, you've got slowing European manufacturing figures. So oil is probably staying in some form of range at the moment until stronger data comes out to tip it one way or the other. On copper, there's some supply constraints, so there's been some labor problems, there's been adverse weather at BHP and Rio's mines. So on the supply side, there is some constraint, and it's anticipated that Chinese demand will pick up as well. So copper could potentially rise. We're quite bullish on copper going forward.
Okay, fantastic. Very quickly, bull or bear? Are you a bull here?
On the share market?
Yes.
Well, certainly a bull when it got down towards 27. If it goes above 30, 30,500, I'll stop there. But right now, as we sit here today, I think you should buy.